Good afternoon. Welcome back to Global Media Network, LLC. Passionate World Talk Radio Network is a wholly owned subsidiary of Global Media Network. Educate, enlighten, and entertain. And today, on this episode of Lest We Forget Historical, with your host Lillian Cauldwell, we are going to talk about the 25th Amendment and the comments that President Trump who's running to become president of the United States, has to say about it. Now, the 25th Amendment of the Constitution is what happens when or if the president becomes incapacitated or sick or worse, assassinated, that the vice president goes and takes over until a replacement is either voted into the office next presidential election, or the vice president remains in the office until the term has officially ended. Either way. Now, the 25th Amendment was enacted back in the 1960s, and it was to lay out who succeeded the president and the process for removing a president, which would require a simple majority vote in the House to adopt articles of impeachment, and then a 2/3 vote in the Senate to convict. When Trump was the president 4 years ago, he was twice impeached by the House during his first term, but was not removed from the office by the Senate. Does this have anything to do with it? This past Saturday, former President Donald Trump called for modifying the 25th Amendment to allow for the removal of a vice president who lies or engages in a conspiracy to cover up the incapacity of the president. I wonder which viewpoint or perspective is going to be held to determine whether the vice president is lying or engaging in a conspiracy. Very interesting verbiage here. Pay attention, because this will affect you not only for the 4 years should former President Trump get reelected, but long after he becomes dust. So let's talk about it. A political non-starter and his latest escalation of attacks on the president, Joe Biden, and the change on the Democratic ticket. So why is he doing this now? Does make you wonder why he didn't try anything like this during his presidency, especially when Vice President Pence did not agree with him when his words motivated a crowd of citizens to take the law into their own hands and storm the Rubicon, i.e., the White House. It is said that Trump went on to say during a campaign rally in Mosinee, Wisconsin, and I quote, "If you do that with a cover-up of the President of the United States, it's grounds for impeachment immediately and removal from office," because that's what they did. Well, he wasn't removed from office, was he? In the wake of Biden's poor debate with Trump, he stepped down and the vice president took over, Ms. Harris. Trump and his allies have accused Vice President Kamala Harris and top Democrats of covering up a decline in the president's mental fitness. Well, folks, the same can be said of the potential Republican presidential candidate, Donald Trump, who seems to not only have trouble controlling his temper, but he also has trouble getting the words out so that he makes sense. Something he who should be wary, if living in a glass house, of how they throw their stones. And of course, the Harris campaign declined to comment on Trump's remarks this past Saturday. The vice president has continued to defend the president and his mental capacity, telling CNN last month that she does not regret insisting in the weeks after the debate that Biden was fit to serve another 4-year term. And that is not my job to discuss whether he's fit or not fit, any more than it's my job to discuss whether former President Trump rerunning for election is fit or not fit to seek the office of President of the United States. Trump's proposal comes as he continues to grapple with the changed dynamics of the 2024 election. In the midst of his struggles to land on a consistent message to blunt Harris's momentum, Trump has continued to criticize Biden. During his Saturday rally, the former president said it was a miracle the president won the 2020 Democratic primary and mocked Biden's performance at the March State of the Union and their June debate. Which reminds me, he who is without sin should throw the first stone. And he goes on to say, quote, "We're run by stupid people. Stupid people. And we found that out at the debate with Joe. How did that work out? Well, Mr. Former President, you have your debate tonight with muted microphones. How does that work out? Is that to protect you or what? I would be very careful what I say in case my words come back to haunt me." The 25th Amendment was put together, lays out the presidential succession and the process for removing a president, which we already discussed and mentioned in the beginning. The thought that Trump has already called out ahead of time that he wants to alter the 25th Amendment invokes past calls to remove him from office. Seems like everybody is being impeached these days. It doesn't have quite the ring of authority that it once held, since everybody seems to be tarnished with the same brush. Some members of the former president's cabinet discussed using the 25th Amendment to remove him after the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. Something that the former president seems to have forgotten or possibly ignore because he has his own agenda and he will follow it to his logical conclusion. So what is your logical conclusion? Your call to action is to let us know here at Passionate World Talk Radio, earmarked for Lest We Forget Historical, whether or not the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, has a good idea about revising the 25th Amendment or to leave it alone with the understanding that it may come back to bite him? And how does it relate to his attitude about becoming the president of the United States all over again? Is it a bid for power, the way he made his bid for the January 6th insurrection? Or is it something that he really feels should be addressed so all Americans have the right to know what their political rules are and what they can do to choose the best candidate to represent them in the Oval Office? So text us at 484-364-1032. You can use your real name and avatar, or just say anonymous, and this is what I believe, or this is what I think, or this is what I'd like to see happen. Let us know, and we will include your comments in the next Lest We Forget historical episode. Thank you very much for listening. This episode, the 25th Amendment and Donald Trump, is brought to you by artificial intelligence. And if you want to give it a try, go over to https://esc73.try, ruby.ai. Try it out, and then sign up. Or, as it used to be said by Wendy's, try it. You'll love it. And also buy the obstacle training course for podcasting. Go over to https://educational.passionalworldtalkradio.com/masterclass. You can thank your lucky stars that you finally found somebody who can help you, a middle school, high school, college, use podcasting within their educational curriculum and take it on to other opportunities that you will encounter. Or for the person who's already podcasting, wants to podcast, or wants to sharpen their skills, please go over and sign up. Thank you once again. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Friday.